Skinny Hardaway 7T, back with another EP. And I want to apologize for being a little late. My ass was tired, y'all. I got back here and fell asleep, and my ass just not getting back up. Shout out my guy Art Man. He said, shout out to my bro 7T. At the end of the day, we will be remembered as legends in the game. Oh, yeah, we finna get into it, y'all. We finna get into it. Shout out my guy MP. What the fuck? It's gonna be an interesting show today. Interesting topic. Shout out my guy Baby Corn so I can do this done. Shout out my man Crush the Legend. I got MP. What the fuck? What's good with y'all good brothers? What's good with y'all good brothers? I finna bring my camera up. He said, damn, cuz I've been lacking on your vids, bro. I ain't gonna lie. What you Shout out my nigga Baby Corn. What you mean, brother? I see you all the time. I see you all the time, Corn, bro. It's all good. I appreciate you, bro. You a supporter, Corn. I see you come through this motherfucker all the time, brother. Shout out my guy Corn. I know you rock with your boy Corn. I know you rock with your boy. And I appreciate it. I'm gonna bring my camera. I'm fake straightening up my bed. I'm gonna bring my camera up in a second. But spark this shit up. But today, y'all, I wanna bring something to y'all attention. Just the way I'm feeling, just the way I've been feeling. Now I wasn't old enough to see. I wasn't old enough to see this event with my own eyes, nothing like that. But I'm a student of the game. And I've been I've been interested. I've been interested following boxing all my life, most of my life, and throughout, they put me on this guy called Sam Langford, right? Julius Streeter, what's good, brother? Yeah. So somebody put me on this guy called Sam Langford. Shout out my guy Julius Streeter, my guy D High. Glad y'all good folks can make it. Uh, Now let me. I don't know if y'all know Sam Langford, but if you don't know Sam Langford, I'm here to tell you who Sam Langford is. Now I picked Sam Langford for a specific reason, and I chose Devin Haney for a specific reason. I mean, I feel like right now in today's time, Devin Haney is being targeted. Now, whether we want what's good, Kevin Jones. Now, whether the people want to believe it or admit to it or anything like that, I feel like that Devin Haney is being targeted and not targeted and not targeted in the good way. You know what I mean? Okay, so Sam Langford. Most people remember Sam Langford, for being heavyweight. Sam Langford is my guy D had just said you didn't know about Lang. Nigga was Canadian, but still a nigga. Facts. He's a black man. You can look at him. I got a picture of Devin Haney up there. I got a picture of Sam Langford up there. Most people know Sam Langford, for being a heavyweight, being a heavyweight type deal. But Sam Langford originally started at the 135-pound division. Ironically, just like the guy that we talking about, Devin Haney. He started at 135-pound division. What's good, Zoe for Life? Shout out my guy Zoe for Life. He started at the 135-pound division, right? You know what I mean? The same division that Devin Haney is at. And he worked his way up to heavyweight. Now I did my homework on this, in the kind of follow this timeline is a bit sticky because Sam Langford fought a bunch of different guys at a bunch of different weight classes all at the same time. You know what I mean? But let me just give you a little, background on Sam Langford. Sam Langford started at the 135-pound division, which is lightweight division. Now, Sam Langford is only 5'7". The man is 5'7", and he also competed at welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. Sam Langford only in his second year. I don't know if y'all know this guy. Joe Gaines. Joe Gaines is another boxer, another great all-time boxer. Joe Gaines got over 100 wins. He's seen as the godfather of the jab. He's seen to have had the best jab, ever in life. That's what people know Joe Gaines for. Uh, Sam Langford beat Joe Gaines in only his second year of professional boxing. Wendy see the assassin, what's good? Shout out my nigga David. Shout out my nigga Brown on boxing. He's there watching the ad. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Okay, Davis. Hey, Davis. I don't too much care about them like other shows and shit, Davis. Like I don't really too much care. Like you don't like. I know that you and I appreciate you though, but like when other people go live and shit like that, you don't gotta come tell me, Davis. You don't gotta tell me. I appreciate it though. Shout out my nigga Davis. He's in Baltimore. Joe Gaines. Yeah, in fact, he beat Joe Gaines and hit the second year of boxing. He beat the current. He beat the current lightweight champions. He beat the current lightweight champion Joe Gaines in his second year of boxing for a lightweight championship. He came in his third year of boxing. He beat the welterweight champion Joe Walcott. Now, this fight against Joe Walcott was called the draw. Joe Walcott is, a white guy. Back then when Sam Langford was had, segregation was heavy, which is actually the kind of the topic of this video. Segregation was heavy back then. But he beat a guy called Joe Walcott for the welterweight champion, the current welterweight champion. And it was called the draw. But later on, he ended up beating another guy for the welterweight championship. But he beat Joe Walcott, who was seen as the best welterweight in only his second year of fighting. In his first year of fighting, he beat Joe Gaines, who was seen to have who went on to have the greatest jab, ever. That's what Joe Gaines was known for. He also beat Peter Jackson for the middleweight championship. Now understand, y'all, this guy is 5'7". He's 5'7". So he's won the lightweight championship, he's won the welterweight championship, he's won the middleweight championship, and he's beat, historic champions all while doing so. He beat Joe Gaines, he beat Joe Walcott, and he beat Peter Jackson. He beat Joe Gaines for the lightweight title. He beat Joe Walcott for the welterweight title. He beat Peter Jackson for the middleweight title. And my guy Julius Streeter said Joe Walcott also fought from 47 to heavyweight. Yeah, and Sam Langford fought from 35 to heavyweight. Shout out my guy Julius Streeter. And he beat Patrick O'Brien. He beat Patrick O'Brien, and at the time where he beat Patrick O'Brien is a white guy. He was seen as one of their champions. He's one of the guys that they was building up, one of the guys that they had, high hopes for. He beat Patrick O'Brien, and Patrick O'Brien had 92 wins at the current time when Sam Langford beat him, just to kind of give you, a sense of it when who he beat and when he would beat him. Now it also legend has it that Sam Langford in a fight in 1917 that he went blind out of one eye, and he continued to fight 10 years later being blind out of one eye. I know that don't got too much to do with his timeline, but I just want to throw that out there. Like, I think that's fucking amazing. If that dude went blind, he continued to fight. He said Sam is one of the true pound for pound great facts. Brown on boxes. Fact. He said Jersey Joe. Yep. Shout out my guy G5 Gate. He said, yo, that's crazy. Sam went from lightweight to heavyweight. Yeah, facts. And he fought Harry Willis. Harry Willis was seen as one of the great heavyweights coming up. Maybe y'all heard of Harry Willis before. Sam Langford fought Harry Willis 22 times. He fought him 22 times. Now Harry Willis was a little younger than Sam. You know what I mean? So when Sam was coming up, Harry was, a little younger than Sam in his prime. So Sam Langford only beat Willis Harry 6 out of 22 times. But he beat this guy who was a heavyweight, who was one of the great heavyweights. He beat Harry Willis. He only beat him 6 out of 22 times, but he was a older fighter. And just to put it into perspective, you know what I mean? He fought Harry Willis 22 times. He beat him 6 times. Harry Willis was 6'2" with an 84-inch arm reach, bro. He was six. Sam Langford was 5'7". He came from the 135-pound division. Harry Willis is one of the great, heavyweights of all time, light heavyweights. He was 6'2" with an 84-inch arm reach, and Sam Langford beat this guy 6 times. Sam Langford also fought Joe Giannetti. Y'all probably heard of Joe Giannetti. Sam Langford also fought Joe Giannetti over 20 times. Joe Giannetti is also a much bigger guy than Sam Langford. I think Joe Giannetti was like 5'10", with like a heavyweight arm reach as well. You know what I mean? So the fact that Sam Langford is even able to get in the ring with these guys and come out on top is, amazing in itself. Now, the most famous thing that Sam Langford might be known for is his fight and his series, his fight and his checkered history with champion Jack Johnson. You know what I mean? Jack Johnson was the first. Now look, now here's where we finna get into it. Here's how I'm finna come here and correlate it to Devin Haney and the colored belt and the championship belt and all that, because they will tell you that the first black champion is Joe Jackson, is Joe Johnson. I mean Jack Johnson. They'll tell you that the first black heavyweight champion is Jack Johnson. But really, when the first heavyweight champion is really Sam Langford. But they couldn't have a guy coming up from 135 to heavyweight being the first black heavyweight champion, because then in history, you will have to look at that guy as, the best boxer of all time. The best boxer of all time. Now, they'll tell you that the first heavyweight champion was Jack Johnson. They'll also tell you that the smallest heavyweight to ever win the title was a guy named Robert Fitzsimmons. And I'm here to tell you that both of those are a lie, and that both answers to that question are the same people. The smallest heavyweight to ever win a heavyweight title is Sam Langford, and the first black heavyweight champion is Sam Langford. You know what I mean? And Julius, you said we should talk about Murderers Row. I'm kind of getting into it. Like, this is the Devin Haney, Sam Langford is the introduction to this. You know what I mean? Trust me, y'all. We finna get into it. They will tell you that the smallest heavyweight champion is a white guy named Robert Fitzsimmons, and they'd say that the first heavyweight champion is a guy named Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson was seen as their champion. Jack Johnson was seen as their champion. Sam Langford was seen as the people's champion. Sam Langford was beating guys in division after division after division. And I told y'all that, Sam Langford won this title, he won that title, he won this title, he won that title. After Sam Langford hit middleweight, after his third year of boxing, which is when Sam Langford ended up in the middleweight division. Since he ended up in the middleweight division, he was fighting guys from middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight all at the same time. He was fighting them folks like all at the same time. Like, he might have a championship fight in the middleweight division. Let's say he win them motherfucker. The next week he might have a title fight in the light heavyweight division. He might lose his motherfucking light heavyweight title, but he'll have to defend his goddamn heavyweight title the week after that. So he'll go defend his heavyweight title, win his heavyweight title, but he lost his light heavyweight title. So the next week he'll go fight the light heavyweight champion for his belt back, and then the week after that he'll go fight the motherfucking middleweight champion to defend his. That's what Sam Langford was doing, y'all. He won. It wasn't a timeline where he was fighting at this division for this many years, this division for this many years. Sam Langford was 100. The biggest Sam Langford was 165 pounds at any time. When he fought Jack Johnson, he was 159 pounds. You know what I mean? So Sam Langford was fighting guys anywhere from 160 to 220 something pounds, bro. You know what I mean? He was 160 pounds fighting guys, 220 pounds at the heavyweight division, bro. I don't think y'all heard me. This man wasn't moving up in weight classes throughout his career. He was fighting all these guys at any weight class that he had to go to defend or get his belts back. And he was losing some of these fights. He is 100, and then I'm getting to it a little deeper. He's 178, 30, and 38. That man got 38 draws, y'all. Listen to this. What fucking man alive has 38 draws? Again, I mentioned that this was a time of segregation and all that good shit. What fucking man has 38 draws, bro? It was times back then where these black fighters was being set up to lose. These black fighters would be put in situations to lose against a fight. If they didn't lose, they'll have their families killed. They'll actually kill them. Not all of them boxers made it through, type deal. But I just think that 38 draws is really alarming. And I went to look at, some of those draws and whatnot. A lot of those are against people from different skin color than Sam Langford is himself. Not just Sam Langford, but a lot of people back then were being put in fights, were winning fights that they were saying that they were losing. Because it wasn't no TV for the most part back then. They used to have a fight. Certain people see it, they'll write about the fight, and then the people get the news like a week later. So a lot of these, so a lot of these, so a lot of these fights, a lot of people didn't even see, or only a certain amount of people saw. You know what I mean? But this guy had 38 draws. I think that was bullshit. And then he had 30 losses, which I think is bullshit also. And he had 178 wins. You know what I mean? But I feel like that they gave this Sam Langford guy, they gave him a lot of these draws. They said that he lost a lot of these fights that he actually won, just like Jack Johnson, which I'm about to get into. Most of us know him for being Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson was considered, except Jack Johnson was Jack Johnson, and I know y'all ain't gonna like this, but Jack Johnson is what you would consider being the very first hype job, for lack of a better word. Now now they say Jack Johnson was still a good boxer, right? Jack Johnson was a good boxer still, but Jack Johnson was pushed as something that he wasn't by the people at B, the people in power back then. There were guys better than Jack Johnson, a lot of guys better than Jack Johnson, like Sam Langford, like Joe Giannetti, like Harry Mills, like Harry Willis. I mean, there were a lot. What's his name? I'm butchering up his name. Like Harry Willis. There were a lot of guys better than Jack Johnson, but Jack Johnson wouldn't fight these guys. Jack Johnson was one of the first people that started saying, well, he don't sell, he don't bring enough fans, he don't get enough fans. I'm the A side, you the B side. Jack Johnson was that guy. Jack Johnson brought that. He wouldn't fight a lot of those black fighters. And if you go back and look at it, a lot of the fighters back then, y'all had what, 200 fights, 100 fights, 150 fights. Harry Willis got over 100 fights. Patrick O'Brien got over 100 fights. Peter Jackson got over 100 fights. You know what I mean? Jack Johnson has under 100 fights, and he comes from an era where most of those fighters got over 100 fights. So kind of listen, kind of put that into perspective. For yourself. Jack Johnson wasn't mixing it up like Joe Giannetti, like Langford, and the other fighters like that. You know what I mean? Jack Johnson was also fighting in the color circuit, but Jack Johnson was chosen as a representation of of them. He was chosen by the other side. When he finally fought, and they only fought once. Jack Johnson and Sam Langford only fought once, you guys. They fought one time, and even before the fight, Jack Johnson was saying that he didn't want to fight him, that Sam Langford didn't sell enough, and all that good shit. But they ended up fighting. They went 15 rounds, a 15-round decision. Now, history has it, legend has it, is the two things happened to this fight. Again, back then, y'all, you really couldn't see the stuff that was going on. Like a certain amount of the people saw it. But legend has it is that okay, Jack Johnson completely washed Sam Langford. Also, another legend has it that Sam Langford completely washed Jack Johnson. But Jack Johnson and legend also has it that Sam Langford got knocked down in the 6th round. You know what I mean? But Jack Johnson won this fight on the 15 round decision. Again, back then there were no scorecards. They just said who won and who lost. But Jack Johnson won on the 15 round decision. Uh, again, like I was saying, Sam Langford fought Joe Giannetti a bunch of times. Willie Harris fought Joe Giannetti a bunch of times. Joe Giannetti fought Patrick O'Brien a bunch of times. All them guys fought a bunch of times. But Jack Johnson didn't even crack over 80 fights. And Jack Johnson only fought Sam Langford one time. Now, my thing is, if you beat a guy, right, and if you're come from an era where it's normal to fight a guy multiple times, if you beat a guy and Sam Langford, why not fight him again? Small guy Jack Johnson is a lot bigger than Sam Langford too, by the way. I think Sam Langford was like 5'7". Jack Johnson was like 6 foot. You know what I mean? Jack Johnson was a natural heavyweight. Sam Langford was 160 pounds walking around bullying big niggas. You know what I mean? Sam Langford was shorter than me and smaller than me. You know what I mean? Walking around bullying big niggas, heavyweight champion, but they didn't give him the heavyweight crown. They called his belt the colored championship. You know what I mean? So Jack Johnson fought Sam Langford for the heavyweight championship, right? Jack Johnson was considered, the winner. Jack Johnson refused to fight Sam Langford again after that fight, and he released the belt. You can go check it. This is actually on Boxer. You can see that he beat Sam Langford for the colored championship, right? And then he didn't fight Sam Langford again, but he kept fighting, but he wasn't fighting for titles. Sam Langford, on the other hand, was still fighting for the colored championship that Jack Johnson didn't want to defend again because they signed for one fight and then they had a rematch. You know what I mean? Jack Johnson didn't want anything to do with the rematch, so he let the belt go, and Sam Langford became the heavyweight champion. He went on to defend it against all these great fighters that I keep naming and shit like that. He'll win it, he'll lose it, win it, lose it, get it back, draw it, win it. That's Sam Langford just didn't give a damn. He fought. Guy had over like 300 fights. You know what I mean? Guy had over like 300 fights. I think he was 100. He was 180, 30, and 30, and I think like shit, maybe half those losses was capped. And I know that damn near most of those draws was capped because who the fuck has 38 draws? You know what I mean? But and then later on, they gave Jack Johnson a shot at the world heavyweight title. This is where you're finna get interesting. Now, Sam Langford currently holds the colored championship. Sam Langford is the colored champion because Jack Johnson dropped his belt. He didn't want to defend his belt when he had to defend his belt. Jack Johnson dropped his belt, but he kept fighting. He just wouldn't fight Sam Langford. So rightfully, Langford became the colored champion. Went on to defend that bitch tons of times. He defended the heavyweight champion. He was defending the heavyweight championship, the lightweight champion, all that shit simultaneously for a minute. You know what I mean? Just going up and down through our weight class, fighting people type deal. So they named the reason that the first black heavyweight champion in history is Jack Johnson, which is true. Jack Johnson did get a decision over Sam Langford, but they had a rematch that Jack Johnson did not honor. So Sam Langford became the heavyweight champion of the world, and that's when they changed the name from, that's when they changed the name to the Colored Championship, and they made the other one called the World Championship. So now they got a World Championship, which they gave to Jack Johnson, and now Sam Langford is walking around here with the Colored Championship, which is the same belt that everybody before him had. All the other heavyweight champions before him, even Jack Johnson, had this belt that they, was called the Colored Championship. Now, do they kind of sound familiar? You know what I mean? And people love Jack Johnson. You know what I mean? And people love Jack Johnson type deal. You know what I mean? Now, don't they sound familiar? Jack Johnson decided not to defend his belt. They let him keep fighting. And they said, okay, well, the belt that you and Sam Langford just finished fighting for, we go name that belt the color belt. We go give you the world championship belt, and you can keep fighting. So you never got to fight Sam Langford again. Y'all go check this. Sam Langford fought plenty of motherfuckers over 10 times. Jack Johnson fought motherfuckers multiple times. He only fought Sam Langford that one time. He only fought Sam Langford that one time. And legend has it, right, that Jack Johnson completely beat him up, right? That Jay Jones completely beat Sam Langford up and won a 15-round decision. Now, my thing is, if you completely got beat up and these people got 20 pounds on you, 4 inches on you, you a lightweight and they really heavyweight. If you get beat up like that, your ass is going to get knocked out. But he was going 15 and getting the bad end of all these decisions. So that in itself just kind of, you know what I mean? But it sounds like Devin Haney, bro. The color championship is the WBC title in this sense, and you got Mauricio Suleiman and the powers that be trying to strip the power away from Devin Haney's belt. They gave Lomachenko a franchise belt, and they said, okay, Devin Haney, you keep the regular belt. But even though the regular belt is the same fucking belt that Jamal Charlo, Errol Spence, Gary Russell Jr., Josh Taylor, anyway, it's the same belt that all the other champions got and had in these divisions. But they're going to tell Devin Haney that your belt in this division alone, just this division, is not real. But your belt in the other divisions are real. But you don't have the real belt. And I know I lost some people with that. But that's the same thing that they're doing to Devin Haney when it comes to this colored championship. As of late, as of late, they even tried to put a name on it. They tried to call it the Pride Championship. They literally tried to change his name and take the power away from Devin Haney's belt. Now you could believe what you want to. Now Jack Johnson has gone on. Now, 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 these are our facts. I learned this from Scrapbook and Storm B, man. See, and shout out Scrapbook. I think shout out Scrapbook and Storm B, man. They necessarily didn't tell me this. My folks, told me this. Just being a boxing type. Shout out my guy Windy City. He said, "Hey, till you did your thing with this one, I enjoyed it for sure." Windy City. It all just brought me. It all just brought me full circle, bro. Back to they're trying to do is history repeating itself with Devin Haney. They're turning Devin Haney in. This is my guy Judah Streeter said something earlier about Black Murderers Row. And it's apparent with Devin Haney in the lightweight division. They're steering champions away from Devin Haney. They trying to change the name to Devin Haney's belt. You know what I mean? In history, y'all, talk to me. We finna get real. I ain't going nowhere. I'm finna roll up again. In history, y'all, the first black champion is who, y'all? Jack Johnson. In history, y'all, the smallest guy to ever win the heavyweight championship is who, y'all? They can rewrite history anytime that they want to. Understand it. They can rewrite history anytime that they want to. The smallest heavyweight champion is a guy called Robert Fitzsimmons. If you Google it, his name is Robert Fitzsimmons. But Sam Langford had the colored championship before that. Sam Langford is smaller than this Robert Fitzsimmons person. But by rule, Sam Langford's belt didn't count because it wasn't the world title that they created after he won his colored championship belt. You know what I mean? It was just the heavyweight title at first. They put colored on it, after Jack Johnson didn't want to fight Sam Langford again in his rematch. So they gave Jack Johnson the world title, and Sam Langford kept the colored championship title. You get what I mean? So throughout history, the first black heavyweight champion is Jack Johnson because Sam Langford never held the heavyweight championship throughout history. And guess what the funny part is, y'all? Throughout history, Sam Langford never held the welterweight championship on paper either. Because when he beat the current welterweight champion, Joe Walcott, they said, oh no, it wasn't for the belt. They said, oh, that fight wasn't for the belt. So he ended up keeping his belt. They said Sam Langford was the colored welterweight champion. They said Sam Langford was the colored middleweight champion. They said Sam Langford was the colored heavyweight champion. It's like Sam Langford was the guy. They had to mess up his record. They had to put those losses on his record. They had to put those draws on his record. And I'm not saying Sam Langford won 200 fights. You know what I mean? Because he fought Joe Giannetti. He fought Harry Willis. And those guys went back and forth. He fought those guys like 20 times apiece, and those guys were beating the fuck out of each other. All those three guys, Henry Willis, Joe Giannetti, and Sam Langford. Shout out all them great champions, them great black champions. Them guys was beating the fuck out of each other, type shit. So I'm not saying he's the undefeated fighter, but I know that man didn't lose 30 fights. I know he didn't have 38 draws, bro. He had 38 draws. If they don't sound like that, if they don't sound like somebody up against you, then come on, bro. Ain't no way you didn't have 38 fucking draws, bro. I feel like that man won a lot of those fights. And he was given the short end of the stick. Just like I can go back in history and see that he won these titles, but they wasn't giving him credit for winning these championship belts. He beat Joe Walcott, and they called it the goddamn colored belt. He beat Jack Johnson. Well, now Jack Johnson beat him, in a controversial decision. They supposed to run it back in rematch. Jack Johnson never accepted his rematch clause, so he was the rightful heavyweight champion of the world, and he beat goddamn, Joe Giannetti and those guys to defend his heavyweight belt, real champions. He beat those guys, so he's the real heavyweight champion. But in the history books, Sam Langford never held the heavyweight championship. Sam Langford never held the welterweight championship because when he was beating these guys, they would put these guys in there with Sam Langford. This is really what I believe what was happening. They had to diminish Sam Langford because he came up from so many divisions. He did so well. I feel like they would put Sam Langford in there with those guys to see, okay, well, he's small, so maybe these guys might be able to beat him. This is a big guy. Sam Langford only 5'6", and he was getting in there and he was beating their ass. You know what I mean? He was beating their ass anyway, type deal. So they'll say, okay, well, it was a close enough fight. We gonna call it a draw. This guy my white champion, so I'm gonna say he lost. Okay, I'd rather have this black guy fight Jack Johnson, or I'd rather have this black guy fight so I won't butcher his name, or I'd rather have this black guy fight Patrick O'Brien, because I feel like that this black guy can beat I feel like Jack Johnson or Patrick O'Brien can beat this black guy. But if we give him this win over Sam Langford, then the people go say, well, we want to see Sam Langford, and I don't believe that Jack Johnson or Patrick O'Brien could beat Sam Langford. So I'm gonna say that this black guy beat Sam Langford, and then I'm gonna give them a title shot and let them go fight. You know what I mean? And let them go fight. You know what I mean? I see the trolls out today. I see the trolls out today. I see that the trolls is out today. Appreciate y'all sliding through because y'all trying to mess with my message. Y'all ain't gonna do that. But Devin Haney and Jack Johnson, they're trying to make Devin Haney the new Jack Johnson. Yeah, I mean not Jack Johnson. They're trying to make Devin Haney the new Sam Langford. And really, when you get, and I said this a little earlier on my stream earlier, which I took down my chill session. I got Sam Langford ranked number 3. I got Sam Langford ranked number 3 on my all-time list. I got Sam Langford number 3 on my all-time list. Sam Langford, my guy, Sliding County said, now fairness, Johnson, I think might have just been chasing that money, so he went for the heavyweight championship. But I respect both Johnson and Langford. Yeah, all facts. All facts. Jack Johnson was one of the first people who introduced, A side, B side. I'm not gonna fight him because he don't make enough money. I'm gonna fight that guy. I'm not gonna fight him because he don't make enough money. I'm gonna fight that guy. And this is not me taking shots at Jack Johnson, Sliding County. Just kind of go look at it. Just kind of go look at it for yourself, bro. Jack Johnson had under 100 fights. Everybody else that I named in this video, bro, had over 100 fights already. And somebody told me myself that, Jack Johnson was handpicked by those. His fights were picked and shit like that. Somebody was telling me that Jack Johnson wasn't really that good. I think which is why he was like 54 and like 20 or something like that. You got a guy like Sam Langford, y'all, who had over 200 fights and he got 30 losses. You got a guy like Jack Johnson who only had like 80 fights and he got damn near 20 losses. You know what I mean? Just kind of look at it like that. No disrespect to Jack Johnson. Look at a guy, Google a guy like Joe Giannetti. Like, bro, these guys got over 100. Joe Giannetti had these guys. Joe Giannetti and Harry Willis fought a lot too. Sam Langford was an older guy in the mix with those younger guys, putting his body through shit. Didn't have to put himself through. Harry Giles and Joe Giannetti are a lot younger than Sam Langford was. Sam Langford was fighting all these guys that they wanted to see Jack Johnson fight. Jack Johnson fought Sam Langford one time, y'all. In the era of badasses and multiple fights, Sam Langford Sam Langford. What you mean they would do a response video to me? What what response would you do to a Devin Haney Sam Langford video? Now, I ain't comparing them as the fighter. I'm comparing their belts, their championships, as in throughout history, the first heavyweight black champion is not going to say Sam Langford. The smallest heavyweight champion ever in the world is not going to say Sam Langford because the history books have been changed and they can change history. But what I'm saying is right now, we can't let them make Devin Haney the pride champion and not the real WBC champion when we all didn't seen Devin Haney really earn his belt, earn his WBC belt. They could change history the way they want it. They could move this here, have this fighter fight this fighter, have this fighter move around this fighter. Uh, because they have done it already. They've been doing it since the beginning of boxing, which is why when they found this goddamn Sam Langford story, this story is dating back to 1903, 1906. He beat motherfucking Harry Gibbs. I remember Harry Gibbs, the godfather of the jab. He beat Harry Gibbs in 1903, I think. And then he beat, and then he beat a guy, then he beat the goddamn welterweight champion Joe Walcott. He beat that nigga in like 1904. And then the first time he fought Jack Johnson was like 1906. You know what I mean? And he lost his eye in 1917 and fought 8 years after 1917. You know what I mean? This man used to fight like, bro, don't. But in history books, he hasn't been the welterweight champion. He was the colored welterweight champion. He was the colored light heavyweight champion. He was the colored lightweight champion. He was the colored heavyweight champion. He was the colored middleweight. You know what I mean? So in history, this man is not going to be on none of these books. He's not going to be there because they weren't even keeping his stats. Kind of like the Negro Leagues. That was going on. He was the colored champion. He was the best fighter in the fucking Negro Leagues. And you know, if you was the best fighter in the Negro Leagues, you was the best. You know, if you was the best fighter in the Negro League, the best baseball player in the Negro Leagues, right? You was really the best player in general. It was guys that came out of the Negro League baseball, guys that came out of the Negro League boxing that went to the big side. You know what I mean? And that wasn't as good as guys in the Negro League and guys in the Negro League boxing. You know what I mean? This junk just came. He said history will forever change, but it shouldn't though, because it's fact. A fact should never change. When you build a statue, it might get chipped at it, might get chipped away, but that motherfucker go be there depending on what you built it on. You build a statue to last, that motherfucker go be there. A statue, it might change a little bit, but for the most part, it's gonna be the same. You will always know what it is. The truth should never change, man. But they can change the truth. Truths do change, and they shouldn't because the truth never change, bro. But they do change, but they should never change, bro. But just throughout history, he's already like Sam Langford is already not in the record books for doing shit that he did first in general. And they trying to do the same thing to Devin Haney right now. In 2021, since 2020, Devin Haney has been the WBC champion. And ever since Devin Haney had this WBC belt, and Lomachenko gave it up for him, just like Jack Johnson gave it up and didn't want to defend his belt. At least Jack Johnson fought goddamn Sam Langford once. Whether we feel like he got robbed or did what, at least he fought him once. Now he never fought him again after a controversial decision. He never fought him again, but at least he fought him once. Lomachenko gave up his belt, and that made Devin Haney the champion. As soon as Devin Haney defended his belt, he became the real WBC champion because the guy gave up his belt because he didn't want that smoke. But they'll tell you that, oh, well, Lomachenko was WBC. Oh, Teofimo Lopez was undisputed. Oh, George Kambosos is undisputed the whole time while we know that Devin Haney is the true holder of the lightweight belt at 135. You know what I mean? They're trying to make Devin Haney the pride champion, but I think they being funny. Just like they made Sam Langford the color champion, I think they being funny in the fact that, oh, well, let's make him the pride champion. They want to do pride as, pride right now mean, gay type deal. They want all let's be make it pride, but pride also is the black man thing. I think that was being funny. I'm gonna take this down when I say this. I think that was being funny. Pride also is a black man thing. Black pride. All this, how it's a pride, black man, pride, real prideful. This is our word. Pride is a black thing. Pride. Everybody has pride, but it's deep in black. I feel like they called it the pride belt to be funny, like, oh, because pride is like gay now, but pride also means black. That's why I got all black today. I wear my all black for a reason when I did this motherfucking video. You know what I mean? That's also a black thing. So we're gonna call his belt the pride belt. We're gonna strip it, we're gonna take it from it. We're gonna call it the pride belt and make it different colors as if it's the gay belt. So we go, you know what I mean? They trying to do whatever they can to strip Devin Haney to strip him of his masculinity, strip him of his rightful place in history, to strip him of his motherfucking WBC belt. Because you better believe, as soon as Devin Haney decides to let that WBC belt go, which is why I want him to hold on to that motherfucking belt so bad. I want him to hold on to that belt bad as a motherfucker, because I know as soon as they let him go, they go get that belt back, his rightful place, and they go start having people fighting for undisputed again. The second he let that belt go, they go put that belt right back where it rightfully belonged, where it never really went from, because it's the same belt Muhammad Ali had. That's the same belt motherfucking Hector Camacho had. That's the same belt motherfucking Floyd Mayweather had. That's the same belt Sugar Ray Leonard had. That's the same belt Earl Spence Jr. got. That's the same belt Jamel and Jamal Charlo got. That's the same belt motherfucking Estrada got. That's the same motherfucking belt Inoue got. That's the same belt all these people got, but because Devin Haney got it, they want to call it the pride and call it this and call it that. Nah, man. No. We ain't letting you do that. We not gonna let y'all, Sam Langford, Devin Haney. Long live the great Sam Langford, probably one of the best boxers ever. He my number 3 all time, Sam Langford is. We not gonna let y'all Sam Langford, Devin Haney. We not gonna let y'all strip away Devin Haney championships. We not gonna let y'all change history on Devin Haney. We not gonna let y'all tell us Devin Haney ain't what we is when we know exactly what the fuck Devin Haney is. You know what I mean? We ain't finna let y'all Sam Langford, Devin Haney. You know what I mean? It ain't going down like that. You feel me? Get that man what he deserved. That man deserved his undisputed shot. You done had niggas ducking and diving and juking around Devin Haney for the longest. Y'all already told us who y'all already, and again, I'm gonna keep saying it because I want y'all to understand what I'm saying when I say this shit. They can change history when they want to. Y'all done already told us Robert Fitzsimmons is the smallest heavyweight at 165 pounds to ever win the heavyweight championship. When I know that's a motherfucking lie, because Sam Langford beat and fought guys at 159 pounds at heavyweight and won a championship. Y'all just call it the color championship. So the lightest heavyweight champion is not Robert Fitzsimmons at 165 pounds. It's Sam Langford at 159 pounds. The first black heavyweight champion is not Jack Johnson, because when Jack Johnson and Sam Langford fought for the black heavyweight championship, they fought for 2 fights, and Jack Johnson won the first one in a decision. He was supposed to fight him again, and he chose not to fight him again. And when Jack Johnson continued to fight, y'all never put colored champion on his name because he let go of his right by not honoring what the fuck that he was supposed to do. But y'all kept putting colored on Sam Langford because Sam Langford was willing to fight. But y'all called Jack Johnson the world heavyweight champion because he didn't want to get back in the ring with Sam Langford. So through history, they gonna tell you Jack Johnson's the first black heavyweight champion, that the smallest heavyweight champion is Robert Fitzsimmons. But I'm telling you that's a motherfucking lie. Both answers to those questions are Sam Langford. And that's the same thing that they trying to do with Devin Haney. When we look back 20 and 30 years, I'm not finna let these motherfuckers tell me that Devin Haney wasn't the WBC champion from 2019 to 2020, however long, 2019, 2021, 22, however long Devin had this motherfucking belt he had. You're not finna tell me. You're not finna tell me that right now. And then what you mean, Theo? He's out there being funny because Theo said he always got WBC belt. When Devin said the championship carries belt with pride, remember, that's what Swan was getting at. Yeah, either Suleiman can't even have his bias and racist behavior. Yeah, fact, bro. I'm telling you. This is why I respect the IBF organization the most. They don't have all those issues. Fact. Shout out my guy. My bad, y'all been cooking. Shout out my guy boxing matchup, the one Freeman. Appreciate you sliding through this joint, bro. Shout out my brother PGH, Big Dog. Shout out my guy Andrew Gray, my guy David, my guy Theo Johnson, my guy Sliding Counter, my guy G5 Gabe. Who else I miss? My guy World Comeback Sports. Shout out my guy World Comeback Sports. Appreciate y'all sliding through this jump. Shout out my guy Bumpy Thompson, the Windy City Assassin. Appreciate you sliding through this jump. My guy Brown on Boxing. My guy ATL Anonymous. What's good, bro? My guy Davis. Okay. My guy Ghost Bum Squad. Julie Street. Okay, I got everybody. My bad, y'all. I just had to get my cookout. Okay, I'm back there. I'm caught up now. I just had to get my my motherfucking cookout, y'all. But yeah, dog. And I'm young. I'm young. I don't know everything. But you know, I know a little bit about it, a little bit, and I know enough about enough. You feel me? I know a lot about it, a little bit, and I know enough about enough. You feel me? But I do know that history will repeat itself, and they're trying. I feel like we're at this spot where, and who knows what the hell Devin Haney gonna be? You know what I mean? Devin Haney is bigger than Sam Langford. You know what I mean? Imagine how good of a fighter Sam Langford really had to be, y'all, to be 5'7", 159 pounds, beating up middleweights, beating up light heavyweights, beating them heavyweights. Y'all, one of those fights. I looked at one of those fights, y'all. I looked at one of those. I looked at one of those fights, y'all. That man beat a dude that was 221 pounds, bro. Bro, Sam Langford beat up a dude that was 221 pounds, yo. Sam Langford is 160 pounds with bricks in his pocket, y'all. The biggest this dude was 160 pounds, yo. That's like motherfucking. I'm from England. I'm young too. I got into boxing events. The state of boxing over here isn't much better than the state. Shout out my guy, T.O. Jones. Yeah, yep. Shout out T.O. Jones. Appreciate you sliding through. Shout out to UK. Shout out my boy T.O. Jones. I'm glad you could make it, brother. But that man was the biggest that man was 165 pounds. But in his prime, he was about 159, 160 pounds. That man was beating up niggas, bro. 6'2", 6'3", 80-inch arm reach, 81-inch arm reach, 70-80 arm reach. Now he had a long arms to beat that short. He was a 5'7" with a 74-inch arm reach. You know what I mean? But this dude, bro, shout out my nigga JG5. Shout out my nigga Gabe G5. Bro, this nigga was fighting this, and he was defending his belt, bro. And then look, y'all, I went back to try to find like the timeline of when he did this. This what he did. This what bro did. Bro won the light heavyweight championship first, right? Boom. He went up and he won the welterweight championship, right? Boom. He went up and then he won the middleweight championship, right? Boom. But once he hit middleweight, once that man hit middleweight, he went up to win lightweight, he went heavyweight, and then once he hit that, the nigga started going back down to fight people from middleweight, heavyweight, like heavyweight, because you gotta think he was always staying at 160 pounds. So he was always at middleweight, but he'll fight like heavyweights and heavyweights interchange. Like he might win his fight at middleweight this week, lose his fight at light heavyweight, win his fight at heavyweight, go back and get his middleweight belt in 3 weeks, and then the fourth week he might go back to defend his goddamn middleweight belt, lose that motherfucker, but have to defend the heavyweight belt the next week. So he got to put his motherfucking middleweight belt on hold. He just lost. Then go win his motherfucking go defend his heavyweight belt, then come back and go get his. That's what Sam Langford was doing, bro. That's what damn fool was doing. Damn fool was like, okay, this nigga was literally. We be calling Devin Haney the boogeyman and shit, right? We be calling Devin Haney the boogeyman and shit, right? Nigga, Sam Langford used to go get the motherfucking rankings and shit. The man used to go get the motherfucking rankings. He used to throw them bitches down. I know he had the paper. Somebody used to get the rankings and shit. He do this shit. I'm Sam Langford right now, nigga. Sam Langford used to get the rankings like this. All right, beat him. Call him. I'm gonna get on him. I'm gonna fight him. I'm gonna fight him this week. I got mandatory middleweight. I got okay. Put the mandatory middleweight. Whoop this nigga ass. Hold on, Mike, go give me the other stack of niggas ass I can whoop. Hold on, let me. Okay, I'm gonna fight this nigga, bro. That's what dude ass was doing, bro. Every week, man was getting the rankings like, okay, who the best fighter? I'm gonna fight all them niggas. I'm gonna fight them niggas 20 times. I'm gonna fight the best niggas 20 times in each division. Who the best middleweight? Who the best light heavyweight? Who the best heavyweight? I want to fight all them niggas multiple times. And if you give me the first time, they don't mean nothing. I'm coming back next week. And if you give me this week, and if you give me next week, and if you give me next week, I'm coming back the next week. And if you give me the week after that, I'm coming back the week after that. Hold on. I gotta go defend my middleweight belt this week. But I'll be back on your ass. But I'll be back on your ass next week. You know what I mean, bro? Real talk. That's what dude was doing. Once he hit middleweight, bro, it was up. Literally. Once he hit middleweight, it was up. He was on, bro. That nigga number 3 to me, dog. No cap. And a lot of these fighters, bro, you can figure this shit out, bro. That nigga wanted every piece of fucking smoke, bro. That nigga wanted every piece of smoke, bro. 5'7". 5'7", yo. That's different, nigga. He said Sam Langford was the smoke, nigga. That's a different kind. And Devin got some of that in them too. I'm not saying that they the same person the way they fighting and shit, but nigga, Devin want all this. Nigga, Devin want all that smoke too, bro. And Devin is the real champion, just like Sam Langford is the real champion. They changed the history books on Sam Langford, y'all. That's why really what I'm saying is, bro. Okay, look. Dude had 38 draws, y'all. Dude had 38 draws and 30 losses and 180 wins. Let's just say half those draws was fake. So let's give him 15 wins, and let's say half those losses was fake. They give him 15 more wins. So now we sitting there with over 200 20 plus wins, 15 losses, 15 draws. Now you gotta think he fighting the time of segregation. So understand all the bullshit. I understand all the bullshit that was going on at the time of Jake Johnson. You know what I mean? So y'all mean to me some of those draws one bullshit, a lot of those losses one bullshit. You know what I mean? Come on, bro. Dude was whooping ass from the day he came on his second year of fighting, y'all. He beat the best lightweight in the world. He beat Harry Gibbs his second year of fighting. The nigga was like 7-0. The nigga was like 4-0, 5-0 when he beat Harry Gibbs. He beat Harry Gibbs, nigga. Shout out to my guy, Mr. Sheraton. That's the godfather of jab. Sam Langford beat Harry Gibbs, nigga. His second year of boxing. Harry Gibbs had over 120 wins when Sam Langford beat him at lightweight. At lightweight. Bro, he beat the best lightweight in the world, nigga. His second professional year of boxing. The nigga had about 6 fucking fights. The nigga had like 6 fights. He beat Harry Gibbs. Y'all don't know Harry Gibbs. That's why y'all looking at me like that. Y'all don't know Harry Gibbs, dude. Y'all don't know Harry Gibbs. That's why y'all looking at me like that. Y'all don't feel what I'm saying. That shit ain't hitting y'all like it hit me. That shit ain't hitting y'all like it hit me. And then his third year, he go up to fucking welterweight and beat Joe Walcott. His third year of boxing. His third year of boxing. He go beat Joe Walcott. The nigga probably got like 12 fights. These niggas got over 100 wins. These not over 100 fights, y'all. These niggas he fighting got over 100 wins at the time he fighting these niggas, dog. Not 100 fights. Let me sign into my on this one because this is I'm about to die. Y'all ain't hearing me, dog. Yo, this nigga was in his third year fighting some of the greatest boxers ever to put on gloves and beating them, dog. But history gonna tell you there ain't nothing wrong with Jack Johnson. Shout out Jack Johnson. No hate on Jack Johnson. Ain't shit wrong with Jack Johnson. Shout out Jack Johnson. But history gonna tell you that Jack Johnson was the first black heavyweight champion. History gonna tell you that Robert Fitzsimmons was the smallest heavyweight champion in the world. History won't even tell you that Sam Langford was a welterweight champion. That Sam Langford was a middleweight champion. That Sam Langford was a light heavyweight champion. But if you go check Sam Langford's resume, right, you see he got wins over guys like Joe Walcott. You see he got wins over guys like Peter Jackson. You see he got wins over guys like Patrick O'Brien. You know, champions, people that we know to have been champions. So you mean tell me Sam Langford wasn't a champion? But so how the fuck he get wins over these guys? Why Sam Langford? Why Sam Langford didn't go down in the books as a heavyweight champion? Because he was the colored heavyweight champion. Because he was the colored welterweight champion. Because he was the colored light heavyweight champion. He was that nigga that was beating everybody's ass. They used to give Sam Langford fights. They used to give Sam Langford fights. Sam Langford used to beat people up. They used to say it was a draw or Sam Langford lost just to set up other people to hype them up off of Sam Langford name because he was the colored champion. Oh, he beat the colored champion, Sam Langford. So now he go fight this guy. But really, if you go back and watch the fight, which people couldn't do back then because it was a limited people on who even saw the fight, you heard about the fight through press and word of mouth and shit like that after it happened. But if you go back and really, Sam Langford beat that boy ass from pillar to post, but they had the presses, everybody on the same page, pushing a certain propaganda. So they go tell you, they had the judges in their hands and the referee shit. They go tell you, oh yeah, Sam Langford lost this fight. But it was only in front of like 30 people back then. They could really tell you what actually happened. They could give guys draws. They could give guys losses. They could set up this guy to win that fight, that guy to win that fight. Now let me give Jake Johnson some love real quick. Jack Johnson record is like what 54 and what 20 something like that, 64 and 20 or something like that, like 64 and 24, some shit like that, 64 and 21, some shit, 19, some shit like that, right? They even had Jack Johnson blowing fights to white people that he could have beaten. You know what I mean? This just history. It is what it is. This was doing segregation and shit. It is what it is. They even had him blowing fights to people. They was using his name to build some of their people too, as well. You know what I mean? Type deal. So I feel like he got more losses than he should have had. But he was the one that they chose. He was the acceptable Negro that they chose back then. Nothing against Jack Johnson. Great black champion. And history will tell you he was the first, but he really wasn't. But no disrespect to Jack Johnson because he got the short end of the stick too. You know what I mean? But they trying to do Devin Haney the same way that they used to do our black fighters back then. They trying to make Devin Haney the colored champion. You know what I mean? They trying to strip Devin Haney away from his rightful place in history. They not giving him the fights at undisputed because they don't want to see a black man be an undisputed champion. And lo and behold, they let Bud Crawford Earl or Bud Crawford Ugas and one of them three fight. We have two black undisputed champions at two of the biggest glory divisions in the motherfucking world in lightweight and welterweight. So I feel like they dancing around Devin Haney just like they was dancing around Sam Langford back then. Devin Haney literally running around here calling out everybody at the lightweight division, trying to get his title shot. Nobody is fighting that man. Just like Sam Langford was walking around calling out everybody literally. And he was beating these guys, and they weren't giving this man his belt. They would literally have Sam Langford fight a fight, and then say, "Oh, it wasn't for a belt after the fight." And Sam Langford to be the guy keep his belt. He'll go on, he'll defend his world belt. While Sam Langford will be placed as the colored champion. He's the black guy that literally, I listen to this. He's the black guy that can beat up these guys, but he's not the real champion. He's the colored champion. He beat these guys on his record. You can see it. Beat these guys. Lost to some, beat some. Fought them multiple times. You know what I mean? You can't keep lying. You can't keep lying to these people. He knocked these niggas out. You know what I'm saying? He knocking these niggas out. You gotta give him some type of, some of his fucking victories. You know what I mean? But when need be, whenever it's time to be one of their own, you know what I mean? Sam Langford get that L type deal. Or that draw. On some real shit, y'all. 30 draws, 38 draws, yo. I guarantee you out of 38 of those draws, that man won at least 30 of those fucking fights. And out of those 30 losses he had, that man won at least 20 of those fucking fights. You know what I mean? But they shout out my guy St. Louis Mitch. They doing Devin Haney. I feel like they trying to do Devin Haney the same way, bro. They trying to do Devin Haney the same way they did Sam, bro. The best boxer all time is Sugar Ray Robinson. My top 5 all time is Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, Sam Langford, Floyd Mayweather, and probably Manny Pacquiao. Y'all ain't gonna like that Manny. Maybe Lennox Lewis. I like not Manny Pacquiao. Lennox Lewis. My top 5 is Sugar Ray Robinson, Ali, Floyd Mayweather, Sam Langford, Lennox Lewis, and Manny Pacquiao number 6. I know y'all gonna agree with me about Manny Pacquiao, but hey. Mike Tyson not in my top. Mike Tyson not in my top, AZ. He stopped watching. Yep. Man, Pacquiao my number 6, y'all. Stop watching. Y'all was here when Ugas beat up Manny Pacquiao, and I was sad as hell the whole stream. Y'all was here for that. I do my best. Shout out Manny Pacquiao, man. Shout out the great Manny Pacquiao. I do my best. I do my best. Comfortably. Kurt Anderson, what's good? Shout out my man Kurt Anderson. Shout out Kurt. Tell him Kurt. Look, Kurt Anderson said Sugar Ray Muhammad, same two. My top 2. Henry Armstrong, Sam Langford my 3. Harry Gibb. Sam Langford beat Harry Gibb, y'all, his 2nd year of professional boxing. Understand that Kurt Anderson got Harry Gibb his 5 all time. Harry Gibb had over 100 wins when Sam Langford fought and beat this guy in his 2nd year of professional boxing. That's how good Sam Langford was, yo. Yo, y'all ain't hearing me. Y'all ain't hearing me about Sam. Y'all ain't hearing me. Sam beat the godfather of the Jack, Harry Gibb, my Gibb. Beat that man his 2nd year of boxing, bro. I'm surprised y'all ain't kill me for my top 5. I'm surprised y'all ain't kill me. I had to talk to a promoter. Look at, I had to talk to a promoter. Y'all hard on man in this joint. Man in my 6. Man in my 6. I got Lennox my 5. I didn't put Henry Armstrong up there. I mentioned Henry Armstrong earlier though on my earlier joint. When I was trying to remember Sam Langford's name, I said it was around that Henry Armstrong type shit, era type shit. I went and did my homework for sure for this one. I knew a lot of this shit at the top of my head, but then I went and did my homework to make sure that I ain't fuck it up today because I wanted to do right by this video. I wanted to do right by this shit. But yeah, though, that man beat Henry Gibb his 2nd year of fighting, bro. So on the take 4-5 was good. RD said Armstrong over Ali. Oh, that's tough, RD. It's hard to. I feel like it's hard to put anybody over Sugar Ray and Ali. They got to be 1 and 2. I'm gonna tell you why. Inside of the ring and outside of the ring, they impact with some of the biggest ever. There will be no Ali without Sugar Ray. Once Ali said Sugar Ray was the GOAT, Sugar Ray the GOAT. Ali was the first nigga, putting on shows every week. He would fight a nigga every other weekend. Sugar Ray Robinson got over 100 fights and shit too. He was the first nigga putting on shows every weekend, setting that crowd, having people come down to, New York and Harlem, setting out the ballrooms and shit, turning up the guys, bringing the gangsters out, bringing the businessmen out, the suit and ties, bringing the hood out and all that shit. He was the first nigga to bring all that shit together. He the GOAT. He the godfather of this shit. He is the messiah of this shit. And motherfucking Sugar Ray Robinson, slick her Sugar Ray, beat your ass, Sugar Ray, knock your ass out, the greatest fighter ever, middleweight king type shit. Him, Mr. Pound for Pound. He the reason pound for pound was invented because we like, bro, Sugar Ray will beat some of them heavyweights' ass if he was that size. Even Muhammad Ali said, shit, if Sugar Ray was my size, or if I was his size, Sugar Ray would beat me. because he's just that much better than me. So once Ali said that, it is what it is. You got to put Sugar Ray number one. And outside of the ring, nobody probably was bigger than Muhammad Ali or more influential or meant more to Muhammad Ali. Inside the ring, he was probably the greatest too. You know what I mean? So with them two, with that alone, them two has to be number one and two. And then after that, you can do as you may with it. And then after that, you could do what you may with it. And I go as soon as I name motherfucking Ali and Sugar Ray or Sugar Ray and Ali, I stop every time and I say, every time I name Sugar Ray and Ali, Ali and Sugar Ray, I stop every time and I say, hey y'all, what's that man name that won belts from light heavyweight to heavyweight? I always forget his name and I always say it was around the Harry Armstrong era. Y'all know he went from lightweight to heavyweight uh type shit. I always who's that guy? What's that guy name? And the name that lose me is always Sam Langford. You know what I mean? Sam Langford. I always put Sam Langford there. Even when I couldn't remember his name all the way, I knew the legend of Sam Langford. I knew his story and what he did. Today I went back and refreshed up on it so I could know everything the right way type shit. But I always remember Sam Langford's story before I even remember him. Because I'm never gonna forget a nigga going from 135 to heavyweight and knocking niggas out and beating niggas ass. But I got him three. And the fact that he beat Harry Jerv his second year, and then he beat Joe Walcott his third year at welterweight, but they called it a draw and gave him the colored welterweight championship. That boy a motherfucker, dog. His second and third year, he beat some of the best boxers to ever lace up blood. He beat the Godfather of the jab second year, and then he beat Joe Walcott his third year. Stop playing with Damn, I forgot his name again. Stop playing with motherfucking he's all in the 60s. I forgot that man name again, dog. Sam Langford. I'm high, y'all. But yep, I said all that shit to say they trying to make Devin Haney the colored pride champion just like they did Sam Langford. Again, the first black champion was motherfucking right, Jack Johnson, and the smallest heavyweight champion was right, what's that? Fitzsimmons. Was Robert Fitzsimmons. When in actuality, it was Sam Langford. You know what I mean? They trying to rewrite history on Devin. They trying to rewrite history on Devin, and we can't let them do that shit, dog. Shout out my nigga Des Smith for signing through this jump. Shout out my nigga Des Smith signing through this jump. Glad to good folks come in. I had to get y'all that motherfucking that Haney cook dog because they trying to do your boy day. They trying to do that Haney day. The thing is, I wish Sam Langford had social media in the LDBC and all us and shit like that back then. Yeah, I'm gonna have Johnny Rice on. I'm gonna have Johnny Rice on tomorrow. I'm gonna have Johnny Rice on tomorrow. He fighting 2 days. He fighting 3 days. He got a rematch versus Michael Coffey. He got a rematch versus Michael Coffey. I'm gonna have Johnny Rice on tomorrow. DPC, I worry about y'all. You want what happened to Desmond? What happened to Desmond? Yeah, cause let me see y'all folks. Boy, I had 215 y'all come through here so far. Yeah, man, like y'all again. I should have been on y'all ass about them likes. I wasn't though. I wasn't though, cause I was cooking. See if y'all mess with your boy. Okay, yeah, I got your boy to 41 likes. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all haven't hit that like button. Greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. Yeah, we got Johnny Rice tomorrow. He got a fight coming up in a few days. He gonna slide on in his joint. You know what I'm saying? Chit chat with us. He got the Michael Coffey rematch. Y'all know what's going on. He got the Michael Coffey rematch. Kurt said the 40s was the best. Ah, he said my Bengals smacked his Ravens team. Yep, 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 yep. He got the rematch versus Coffee on the Ortiz Charles Martin card. So he gonna slide through this jump tomorrow. I'm talking to him now. I'm talking to him now. He going to Miami today. He catching the flight to Miami today, and tomorrow he gonna come on the show. I ain't sure about the time yet though, but I'm gonna set it up tomorrow so y'all know for sure. I'm gonna set it up in the morning when he coming on tomorrow so y'all know for sure. But hey, yeah, I think if Cambosis do he's I like Frank Sanchez the way I want to see Sanchez versus Jerry Anderson. You think it's time? I mean, I ain't saving no nigga. I mean, shit. I want to see it too, but I don't think we go get that fight like no time soon. I don't think we go get that motherfucker no time soon, bro. No, Jerry Anderson got like what 11 fight. I think his first fight might be Jerry Anderson. He said, y'all got Kurt OG here, salute. Yeah, shout out Kurt Anderson. This ain't Kurt Anderson first. Kurt Anderson came and talked on the show back a while back. It was a smaller show. It was a smaller show. The great Kurt Anderson came through and he popped this shit for me, man. I knew I was doing something right when I started to get the OGs and I started to get like the big dogs and shit to slide through here. I knew I when I say I knew I was doing something right, I mean like I knew I was pushing the right messages. Uh I knew I was speaking the right shit when I started to get, those guys to fall through these numbers because I know they ain't gonna come through no bullshit. You know what I mean? They ain't coming through no bullshit. Like, they ain't coming through nobody spitting narratives. They ain't coming through nobody, talking their bull. When I started getting the people that I used to watch to come through this joint and holler at me and to watch me and shit like that and tell me, uh, I see you, bro. I see you, shit like that. When I started doing that, bro, that shit meant a whole lot to me. Kurt Anderson came through this joint like months ago. And I'm glad you're doing okay too, Kurt. I'm glad. I don't know. Well, I don't even know exactly, what's going on, but I'm glad to see you, in good spirits. Shout out to OG Kurt Anderson. He said, "T, I know you." Nah, that ain't Sam Langford, bro. That might be Sam Langford. Is that Sam Langford? I don't think that's Sam Langford. Is that Sam Langford? That was Sam Langford Drew had doing the split. Sam Langford dead, bro. I think the dude you talking about still alive. Nah, he wasn't talking about Sam Langford. Sam Langford didn't even have no colored TV like Sam Langford, black and white, bro. The dude you talking about is way younger than Sam Langford. Sam Langford was in the 19. Yeah, Sam Langford was in like 1906, bro. Like nah, this like way, nah, this like nah, this ain't Sam Langford. Yeah, Johnny Nelson. Yeah, Johnny Nelson fought on color TV and shit. Sam Langford won no fucking TV or color TV thought of. Take shit, damn it. They were putting shit in the newspaper. Yeah, John. Sam Langford, Canadian. Don't you ever call Johnny Nelson Sam Langford again. Apologize to Sam Langford. That's me. Apologize to Sam Langford. That's me right now. Nigga called that man Nelson, though. Man called that man Nelson, bro. Nah, nigga, you had it. Nah, nigga, you had it mixed up. Nigga, you brought up the dude doing the split. I said Sam Langford, nigga. You brought up the dude doing the split. I ain't had it mixed up. You had it mixed up. I knew who Sam Langford was. You made me think was that the same dude. And then once it finally hit me, I said, fuck no. Because that nigga was on color TV. Sam Langford ain't have no goddamn color TV. Sam Langford was in black and white. Nigga, this picture black and white. You the one thought that was Johnny Nelson. That's me, not me. You had it mixed up. Y'all see this nigga gonna tell me, nigga, you had it mixed up. Who? I've been talking about Sam Langford for an hour, 15 minutes. This nigga gonna come tell me I had it mixed up. Ain't nobody, ain't nobody mixing no motherfucking nah, nigga. I said Johnny Rice, not Johnny Nelson. You had it mixed. I said Johnny Rice, nigga, the nigga that knocked out Michael Coffey. You had it mixed up. Not no goddamn Johnny Nelson. Nah, nigga. I wouldn't have no motherfucking Johnny Nelson on here. I don't even know who that is. Johnny Nelson, dude in the white. He's right, but oh yeah, yeah. Okay, you're talking about yeah. You still had it wrong, nigga. Johnny Nelson, white glove. He coming tomorrow. They got a rematch with Michael Coffey. Yeah, okay, yeah, 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 okay, yeah. You was talking about Johnny, right? You had the Johnnies mixed up. I got you, I got you, I got you, but you had the Johnnies mixed up. I got you. Yeah, that was Johnny Nelson. Somebody said, I know you ain't having a nigga do it G5. Somebody said, I know you ain't having a nigga doing the split on the show. Oh my fucking god, man. Somebody said, I know you ain't having a nigga doing the split on the show. Oh my fucking god. Oh shit. Somebody said, TV talking to the nigga doing the split. He ready to talk about it. He ready to talk about it. T cool with the nigga. T told him. Yeah, dude. Yeah, like T talking to the nigga doing the split. T y'all be doing split together. Y'all ready to call me Sudden T splits, ain't it? Y'all ready to call me Sudden T splits, ain't it? Y'all fucked up, man. Ah, shit, y'all fucked up. He said, "Yo, T, are you good, boy? Yeah, I'm good, Craig. I'm getting ready to get up out of here, Craig. I just wanted to give y'all this Devin Haney, Sam Langford joint. real quick. I feel like I got my point across. I got my point across, right? I got my point across, right? I feel like I got my point across. We can't let them sound Langford. We can't. And he got everybody banana splits. Oh my fucking god, fool. Everybody said you called him banana splits, fool. Oh shit. They should have never gave you niggas money, dog. They should have never gave you niggas money. I appreciate the two new subs. Wish I know who y'all two new people that just subbed to me was personal, so I can thank y'all personally. Thank you, thank you. Y'all got me to y'all got me to 1,761. He did UK dude got shit to say about Wild Water about Johnny Nelson. You fucked up, David. He said he did full splits like damn, he Simon Bliss. Theo Johnson, Theo Johnson, there be no wide disrespect tolerated on certain team, man. Wilder is a great fighter. My nigga's a great fighter. He's a great puncher. He's a great fighter. You don't win a bronze medal without being a great fighter, bro. First of all, you gotta know how to box to win a medal. Second of all, you don't defend your title 10 times. You know what I mean? Luis Ortiz is a great boxer. You know what I mean? Deontay Wilder, now he wasn't winning, but he went rounds with Luis Ortiz. He was in the boxing match with Luis Ortiz. You know what I'm saying? You don't do that, without being a great boxer. He was able to outbox Luis. Now, in a sense, they say he was able to outbox Luis Ortiz because he was able to find his knockout. Luis Ortiz almost got Wilder out of there, but he didn't find his knockout. Deontay Wilder found his knockout. You know what I mean? Deontay Wilder found his knockout. So that man can box. So it's a myth that Deontay Wilder can't box. That's one of the biggest myths in boxing. That's one of the biggest myths in boxing that Deontay Wilder can't box. That's one of the biggest myths in the world. Who won't smoke with us? Who won't smoke with us? He said, Dave, that nigga followed you with her, so I'm fucking so with him. Y'all nigga retarded, bro. I'm hungry. I'm down there finna give me something to eat. Uh-oh. Now we ain't go. See, y'all see, like, we turned this to Wilder. Y'all see how we weren't even talking about Wilder, and we ended up talking about Wilder. I ain't mad at talking about Wilder. We can talk about Wilder all y'all want to, be real. That's my nigga. I hope Deontay Wilder don't retire, but I think he might. Yeah, you kind of got what you say about Wilder here. Y'all ain't gonna lie to y'all. Like, I know this freedom of speech and everything, but this freedom of speech is also freedom of pistol. So shit, if they want to shoot you, they gonna shoot you before I even really know. And I didn't shoot you to understand. I'm not necessarily shooting y'all. I do put the heat out on some people, but I didn't put the hit out on you, but I'm saying, so this freedom of speech is also freedom of pistol. You got to kind of watch, while I tell you, you you almost can get away with talking about anybody. You almost can say what you want to say about Earl. You can say what you want to say about pretty much anybody. But it's like when it comes to that Deontay Wilder thing, unless you got a wrench like my nigga Vosh UK, my nigga Vosh UK be here. You know what I'm saying? Unless you got a wrench, and even he don't even go all the way over on Wilder. You know what I mean? When it comes to Wilder, like these folks is not holding up. Your ass is going to get shot quickly. Your ass is getting shot. And I didn't shoot you. I ain't shoot you, bro. Appreciate you sliding through this stuff. Shout out my guy Vosh UK. Said salute Southern T, bro. Hope you good. Salute to the chat. Shout out my nigga Vosh UK sliding through this stuff. But yeah. You just can't come put really what it is, you can't come pushing the old media narrative. That's an old media narrative. Wilder can't box, Wilder can't fight. Yes, the fuck he can. He won the bronze medal when he started boxing. He was 21 years old. You gotta be able to have some kind of fighting, some kind of boxing ability. You get what I'm saying, bro? You got to. You can't push. We don't do old media narratives over this. That's all. But look, y'all, I'm finna go get me something to eat. BLTV come on at 4:30. Y'all can catch me in the graveyard. I'm starving. I know I'm gonna get out before I end up, doing this motherfucker 3-4 hours. You know what I mean? I did an hour and a half. I feel like I got my point across. We can't let them, Sam Langford, Devin Haney. In the history books, the smallest heavyweight champion was 165 pounds, and there was Robert Fitzsimmons. In the history books, the first black heavyweight champion was Jack Johnson, but in actuality, the first black heavyweight champion was goddamn Sam Langford, and the smallest heavyweight champion ever in the world was motherfucking Sam Langford at 159 pounds. You know what I mean? Sam Langford went from light heavyweight to heavyweight, and won titles, but they call all his titles the color championship. So I think he has 0 titles in the record books. You know what I mean? Which is really fucked up. That guy had over 180 wins, 30 losses, 38 draws. Think a lot of that shit is bullshit. A lot of those losses and draws are bullshit. I know they are because he fought in time of segregation. You know what I mean? So you do the math on your own and tell me whether he won or he lost or got draws or how this shit go. But I'm comparing him in the sense where he was a champion in every division that he could have been a champion in, literally. And they didn't give him credit for none of them. They called him the colored champion of all these divisions, kind of like them calling Devin Haney the pride champion in his division. But we all can clearly see who the real champion is. Sam Langford, Devin Haney. We can see who the real champions are, but you're trying to strip their belt, give it a different name, and tell us that they are not what they are. But we can clearly see that they are exactly what we think they are. You know what I mean? They have the same belts that everybody had before them up until you changed the name of their belt. You added a world championship belt to defame the colored heavyweight championship. It wasn't even called the colored heavyweight championship. It was just the heavyweight championship of the world until you created the world championship, and then you called it the colored championship. You know what I mean? So you made his belt none and void, but that's the same belt that Jack Johnson had. You just gave Jack Johnson a new belt after he quote unquote fought Sam Langford and beat him in a 15-round decision. But he never wanted to fight him again, and y'all had to separate the belt to give him this one to him that one. Don't sound like Jack Johnson won that fight to me. But I really think happened back then. They didn't have cameras and all this shit about the fight. People, a certain number of people saw the fight, a certain amount of reporters saw the fight, and they told you what happened in the fight. What I think is Sam Langford went out there and he beat the shit out of Jack Johnson, and the narrative push was that Sam Langford lost. You know what I mean? I think that happened a lot with boxers back then. You got they forced you to do certain shit that you didn't want to do. They handpicked certain fights to do that, kind of like they do now. Nothing's really changed. You know what I mean? Type deal. But I think Devin Haney and Jack Johnson not Jack Johnson, Devin Haney, and Sam Langford got very similar situations where the world wants to take their championships, their hard work, and say that you guys never did that, you guys never won those. And the difference is with Sam Langford and Devin Haney is we live in a new time, and we can see this shit in broad daylight, and we're not gonna let them get away with what they're trying to do with Devin Haney. We got Devin Haney running hard in the airways right now. because what's going on with Devin Haney is complete bullshit, and eventually we're going to put enough pressure on them. We're going to put pressure their ass into giving Devin Haney his rightful undisputed shot that he earned, because that man is a WBC champion. Lomachenko did request the franchise belt, just like y'all gave Jack Johnson the world heavyweight title. And the real champion was Sam Langford, and the real champion is Devin Haney. But that's all I got. Skinny Hardaway, Sutton T. This ain't the past, this ain't the future, but this the present. That's how we rocking, and I'm out. Love.